we have lots coming up over the next hour. We certainly do, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, what more could you say than Donald Trump saying we're on the brink of World War III? This has been going around a lot in the papers, hasn't it? This idea of we might have to bring back some form of conscription, our army is so eroded to the quick, and that things really are ramping up in the Middle East. We've now seen that, well, we assume that Iranian-backed rebels have attacked a US military base in Jordan, which is an ally of America and the West, and that's killed 3 people, but also injured 34 American troops. And everyone's now waiting to see quite how Biden is going to react.
As I indicated earlier, you know, I know Americans, and Joe Biden said, we'll respond to this as and when. We'll come up with the timing.
I love your sort of like official American accent.
He goes like, what's his thing? I'm serious.
Isn't his normally...
The trouble is, Joe, you're not. However, what Americans will want will be a very, very swift response. You don't leave this sort of thing hanging in the wind. 3 Americans dead, 34 injured, Alicia.
That was a very quick segue there.
There you go, we're on to you. Wake up.
Well, exactly. And this is Donald Trump's big way just to try and assure America that he is a steady pair of hands, really. He's basically just trying to say that under him, all of these conflicts that we've seen in the past few years technically wouldn't have happened, is what the argument he's going for. And he's trying to say that if he's re-elected, we won't see any more of these mass conflicts across the country. And it's just a question of whether or not the electorate actually buy that.
What do you think? Do you think that Trump would be a kind of terrifying figure for people like Putin, and that perhaps we wouldn't have had all these problems if the Donald was still president?
It's a really mixed bag, because some people argue that because he's one of the few people that had a close relationship with Putin. Some argue that that would have meant he would have gone soft on Putin and kind of just, you know, let him do what he wants. But some people say that he could have used that friendship actually to say, hang on, this is a bad idea, and, you know, our relations will deteriorate if you go ahead with this. I think there is a lot to be said for that, for sure. But, I mean, you can't really live in hindsight and retrospect, really, can you? I mean, it's impossible to say. Putin's very much his own man, as we've seen with this conflict.
What do you think, Alice? Would Trump have been
yeah, of course.
better for maintaining world peace?
I would think when it comes to anything like this, you just look at what's happened, look at how events have unfolded. And under Donald Trump, there were basically no wars. And under Joe Biden, it's all kicked off because he made some pretty awful decisions. I was sitting in the European Parliament when Brussels was debating reopening the JCPOA, which is essentially the Iran nuclear deal. And a lot of us were just saying, why would you do that? We know that Iran's enriching uranium. We know they're not trusted traders. My American friends were saying this is utter lunacy. Europe is fog-marching the world into insecurity. And, well, I think exactly what was predicted has now come to pass.
Well, Europe, is it? I think it was Obama, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Obama was the one who reopened.
Started it. And, of course, all this sort of sycophants in Brussels, the left-leaning liberal lunatics. Oh, yes, we've got to be nice to Iran.
Yeah, they only want a nuclear reactor for their power stations. They don't want a nuclear bomb. Yes, they do.
Oh, we're only going to...
Yes, they do.
Ostracise and make them even worse if we don't give them money and bring them in. And it's basically about the French and Germans wanting to sell stuff. That's what it comes down to.